ValveTime.net.
Hi, and welcome to episode 5 of ValveTime Database, a show where we analyze various features of Valve-related games and projects in order to work out their larger impact. In this episode, we're going to be returning to the format previously adopted for episode 3, allowing us to analyze an entire product rather than a single aspect of one. This time, though, we're not talking about a game. For the first time ever on Database, we're going to be talking about a film, specifically one by the name of Half-Life Uplink. This has probably already caused some confusion for a few of you out there. But James, we hear you cry, isn't Uplink an official demo for the original Half-Life? And while yes, that is true, the name Uplink was also shared with a little-known official Half-Life short film planned for release in February 1999, which confusingly just so happened to also stand as the original release day of the Uplink demo. We've recently been in contact with some of the people responsible for the creation of the film, including the producer and a product manager, so let's use some of this brand new info and get right into the real meat and potatoes of the topic. The film follows Jazz Meadows, portrayed by Patrick Malone, an investigative journalist attempting to find out what is happening within the Black Mesa research facility during the events of Half-Life following the Resonance Cascade. After breaking into the facility by quite literally walking through an open door, Jazz begins to record his findings while streaming them to an unseen partner elsewhere in the world. During his travels through the hallways, vents, and stairwells of Black Mesa, Jazz encounters a number of Half-Life enemies and multiple iconic alien species, including HECU soldiers, a barnacle, possibly a Vortigaunt, an unnamed scientist, and eventually a Black Ops assassin. Pitched as a found footage video at just over 5 minutes, Uplink was created to build on the massive post-launch hype surrounding the original Half-Life and was filmed entirely within a decommissioned USAF Cold War bunker called Building 210 at Alconbury Airfield in Bedfordshire, England. This rather strange choice of shooting location explains why Black Mesa's exterior shown in the opening moments of the film appears to be surrounded by trees, grass, and suburban lighting, all of which couldn't be further from the truth. Under the direction of Syndicate Pictures' Jamie Matson, the entire thing was filmed in a 12-hour non-stop session, using basic Sony digital handycams, and featured multiple examples of cast or crew calling in favors from friends to help fill roles. As you might have guessed if you've ever had the pleasure of watching the short film, Uplink was produced by British marketing agency Cruise Control on an extremely thin budget. Cruise Control were brought in to develop the film after being commissioned by Havas Interactive and Sedent Software to help promote Half-Life in the United Kingdom. It should be noted that as far as we can tell, neither Sierra Online nor Valve were really aware of the project's existence, and neither had any real input for the film other than technically providing sound effects taken directly from Half-Life. Come on! This also extended to music, as Uplink features songs composed by Kelly Bailey for Half-Life, despite Bailey having absolutely no direct creative control in the film. Valve's lack of involvement can be demonstrated by a recent quote given to us by Half-Life series lead writer Mark Laidlaw, who commented that the team was very confused upon Uplink's release, saying their initial response fell somewhere around, "A Half-Life movie? Are we involved with this?" To learn more about this ill-fated project, we've recently been in contact with the film's producer, Chris Birch, who was kind enough to provide us with various information regarding the creation of the film. He confirmed the Black Ops assassin seen at the end of the film, played by Philippa Norman, was actually a close friend of his and was actually only planned to appear in one of 2 filmed endings. In the version that's been floating around the internet for the past few years, Jazz is saved by the assassin who kills the HECU soldier. Meanwhile, in the alternate unseen version, Jazz is shot and presumably killed. Funnily enough, Birch mentioned that the officially released version of the film didn't actually feature the ending with the Black Ops assassin, meaning he is either mistaken or the only available version of the film isn't actually a final cut. The near non-existent budget wasn't the only issue, however, as the entire cast and on-site crew totaled 8 people, all of whom were left alone in a vast underground base with huge steel contamination vaults and a massive power plant, which admittedly sounds pretty fun. The limited budget, short turnaround time, and minimal crew meant Birch and Matson had to shoot with a large focus on Jazz's reactions to events, rather than the actual alien creatures or action happening elsewhere in the facility. In our email exchanges, Birch mentioned that it would have been much worse if they tried to show any kind of special effects, clearly referencing the low budget. The weird shooting location, found footage filming style, and limited crew apparently made the project seem like a guerrilla effort, which was far from an official film of any kind given how busy both Valve and Sierra were back in the United States. As such, the production team more or less acted independently, deciding to create the film as a kooky British marketing project which was fun and crazy, not a serious drama. something that definitely explains some of the film's cheesiness. Despite the limited video quality and subpar performances, the guerrilla effort can also be felt elsewhere in the film if you look close enough. During the credits, several people are referenced as only having one name, possibly due to them not being happy about their involvement in the project. These include the online and offline editors, credited simply as Nick and Yan, respectively. Despite the film's short-lived nature, which we'll talk about in a moment, some of the crew associated with Uplink have since gone on to do bigger and better things in the past 15 years. For example, the aforementioned editor Yan, later revealed as Yan Miles, who was recently awarded an Emmy at the 2014 Primetime Creative Arts Emmys for his work as editor for the BBC crime drama Sherlock. As we mentioned at the start of this episode, the release of the Half-Life Uplink film was delayed from the originally planned date of February 22, 1999 to March 15, 1999, following a lack of approval from Valve and Sierra. After the film's release, it became the topic of much debate, as while fans hated it, calling it horrible, Sedent Software were apparently rather happy, as Half-Life went back up in the charts within the UK. This meant their original goal was technically successful, even if the film's quality was far from perfect. After a series of negative reviews and disapproval from Valve once they finally saw the film, Uplink was quickly pulled only a short while after being distributed, making it something of a little-known project. For a quick glimpse of how frustrated many Valve's fans became upon seeing it, here's a short clip we recently received from Kevin Fragmaster Bowen, founder and director of Planet Half-Life, one of the largest and most influential original Valve fan websites.
So I just watched Half-Life Uplink for the first time in 15 years, and it's not very good. I don't remember it being very good, and it's still not very good. You've got soft rock radio DJ Jazz Meadows and his ugly face stumbling around. Nothing interesting happens. The dead soldier's face clearly moves. I really don't get it. The main thing I remember, and again, the details are fuzzy because it's been 15 years, is that there was a lot of awkwardness around this. I don't think anyone outside of Cruise Control wanted this to be released. Sierra definitely didn't. I didn't want anyone to see this. It's pretty embarrassing.
As you probably guessed, it's probably for the best that Valve and Sierra pulled the film quickly after release, given how frustrated many fans became. Despite the overwhelmingly negative reaction from more or less everyone, the Half-Life team, including Mark Laidlaw, were actually rather flattered by the creation of the film, given that it was one of the first pieces of media inspired by their games. This has obviously continued to the current day, with Mark claiming, "We were, and are, honored that the work we did inspired creative people to take things even further in their own favorite formats, whether as mods, fan fiction, or film, so it isn't all bad." We know this probably isn't the topic you wanted or expected us to talk about for Database, but we thought it would be interesting to shine some light on one of the lesser-known projects associated with Valve. After all, we spend so much time with series like Top 5 in the News Roundup discussing or praising the positive sides of the company that it's fun to be able to bring up one of Valve's unofficial bastard children and one of the absolutely worst received projects in their history. But hey, look on the bright side, it's not as if J.J. Abrams and Bad Robot's efforts could be worse than this, right? Oh, and special thanks to Chris Birch, Kevin Bowen, and Mark Laidlaw for providing us with a bunch of info on the film's production, reception, and release. That's more or less everything that we have to say regarding the Half-Life Uplink film for now. Given that it's been over 15 years since the film was released and retracted, it's unlikely there's much more to learn about it, but we'll be sure to bring it up in a future episode if we think there's enough to talk about. Let us know if you'd like for us to try and visit more obscure Valve-related properties in the future, as this is definitely our most unconventional episode yet. Be sure to leave suggestions for future Database episodes in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and to follow us on Facebook and Twitter to keep up to date with all the latest Valve developments. Thanks for watching, and bye for now.
My raps are fresher than my smoke is dank. Jay-Z says my lyrics are top rank.